I've been developing games on Roblox for a while now. Only recently have I seen success with it, but I've been on the scene for a long time. However, after seeing what it's like to make a breakthrough as a developer, I was exposed to a whole new side of Roblox development that I never knew about. Now, this video isn't meant to be an expose of some dark, twisted section of the development community, but there's no shortage of those if you're looking for them. It's more so an observation of something that most casual Roblox players would probably never know about, and I feel like it's worth making it known. There's a lot of scummy behavior out there from bigger development studios that feels predatory of smaller and newer developers, which I'll be getting into very soon, and I feel is very important that people know about. And for the record, this video isn't meant to call anyone in particular out or ruin their reputation or anything like that, and I do ask that you please do not send hate or anything else to the people mentioned in this video. This video is purely meant to inform you of Roblox's secret developer network. But before we get any further, I do just want to say that this is my first ever attempt at doing a scripted commentary video, so if it's not great, I apologize, but if you do enjoy it, be sure to let me know, and I really do want to do more in the future, so I'd love to get your feedback on it. And on another note, YouTube tells me that 100% of the people watching my videos are subscribed, so, you know, great work. Keep it up, guys. One of the main pillars of this development network is big development groups buying games off of new developers. There's a lot to explain here, so sit tight while I try to do it to the best of my ability. Whenever a small developer makes a game and it blows up, it can be stressful. I've experienced it myself, and when the pressure of updating your game and pleasing the community starts to weigh in on you, that's when these huge development studios might just swoop in and try to buy your game off of you. There's nothing inherently wrong with it, but in my experience, these studios act like they do want to preserve the quality of your game, when in most cases they don't, and you'll see games bought by these studios getting a ton of monetization added, and laughably so. Take a Dusty Trip, for example. As far as I can tell, this game was originally made by Jandel, who does have his own connection to this developer network, but for the most part, the game in its early stages was fairly straightforward. It was monetized for sure, but had very few game passes that seemed reasonably priced. Now when you play the game, it's riddled with microtransactions, game passes, luck-based loot, all that wonderful kind of stuff. If I'm interpreting it correctly, I believe the reason for this is Jandel partnering with Doobig to work on the game. Doobig is a big development studio that makes these game purchases, and a lot of their games do turn out this way. Another example, Blade Ball, a huge game that yet again started fairly simple and is now a mess of microtransactions, battle passes, and who knows what else. This game was also bought by Doobig Studios. This isn't meant to slander Doobig in any way, they're just one of the most recognizable studios that buys and owns a lot of huge games, and they are also the first big studio that reached out to me when my game blew up, and that's why I've researched them and their process. I talked with the owner of Doobig about the prospect of buying my game, but ultimately we never came to an agreement, and I would have felt like a, you know, massive piece of shit if I had sold out so early on, but they were nice about it, and I don't have anything negative to say about our interactions. However, I don't regret my decision at all, and I believe I've made more money than I would have by selling my game to them, and I kept my dignity as well. For new developers that get these offers, here's my suggestion to you. If you really care about development and the games you're making, do not take these offers. If you ever find yourself stressed with your game, you can always find people who are willing to help and manage to preserve your game's quality. However, if you're someone who may not have time for game development, or the pressure is just too much for you, perhaps the offers you're given will be more appealing to you. I still wouldn't personally do it, since through my eyes these companies are not keeping your best interests in mind. There's a big focus on squeezing as much money and engagement out of your game as they can before they move on to the next one. It's harsh, but it is the truth of the matter. But let's try to look at this from all sides. There's also an argument to be made that games that are bought by these studios stay popular for longer, since having a large studio working on updates allows them to put out bigger updates at a steady pace, keep the game alive, and all that kind of stuff, which is great. I see no problem with that, but these games also need to be making money for these studios to bother keeping them alive, so that's why you'll see them inevitably focusing on monetization, which again is understandable but can drive players away. All in all, it's practically the same cycle every time and kind of drains the creativity from the platform, which in my opinion is a shame, but let me know what you think about it. When I was doing research on all these huge development groups, this is when I started to figure out just how connected all these developers and development studios are. Take GameFam, for instance. They do have some original games, but I do believe they also partake in buying games off of developers, and you can find this out by looking at their website. They offer some sort of creator funding thing, and also offer to have big developers work with you, like Verse, the Speedrun 4 guy. Explains that game becoming more monetized. And hey, would you look at that? Doobig. Okay, so that's a lot of connections already. GameFam, Doobig, Jandel, all around there's probably hundreds hundreds of employees working for all these studios in total. But when you think about it, it feels like these studios could be interchangeable. It gets even deeper because when you look through the Roblox groups that own the games that these studios bought, you see all the developers these studios share. In fact, some games will even have multiple of these studios working on them at once. I couldn't possibly tell you how that works, but it's pretty insane. For instance, the SpongeBob Simulator project by GameFam is also worked on by Dubig Studios and their developers. You can notice this since Dubig's Roblox account is ranked as a developer in the group, as well as some other Dubig developers. In total, these studios own over 100 Roblox games that are either currently on the front page or used to be at some point in time, and they're only going to continue building this game empire as time goes on and more aspiring developers come onto the scene with their original ideas and creative concepts. It's predatory, since these studios know that players are tired of playing the same types of games over and over and are looking for something new, and when something refreshing that players love comes along, these studios immediately try to take over and milk it for all it's worth. It really is a shame, especially since I feel like they undervalue what these games are worth too, since they try to come in when it's still in its early stages and the developer hasn't had a chance to even cash out any money from it yet. There's so many studios like this. Dubig, GameFam, and newer ones like Voldex have made some big acquisitions recently too, and these are just the frontrunners of this type of studio. Also, there's kind of some surprising ones. Remember the Abe family from Vine? The son and dad also do game acquisitions in some form, I'm pretty sure, and like maybe FGTV too? I don't know anymore, man. As time goes on, there's only going to be more and more of these big groups popping up that will more than likely have connections to one another to make their process even more efficient. There's only some evidence for it, but for the most part, it is speculation since I can't give definitive proof that they're all working together, but I have no doubt more and more are going to form and keep taking over up-and-coming games and continuing to degrade the quality of Roblox as a game platform. But hey, that's just a theory. A Roblox theory. Anyways. So what's the takeaway from all of this? Well, that a lot of Roblox games you play are made by a lot of the same developers, and you probably don't even know it. And it's kind of scary just how many Roblox games out there are owned by the same exact game studios. But they're far from getting to a point of taking over the entire Roblox platform, so don't worry about that. There's still tons of original games and developers out there who are dedicated to keeping creativity alive on Roblox. Make sure you always support indie developers and small studios who are trying to make something out of Roblox as a platform. Like, for instance, me. I have a game called Ultimate Town Sandbox, which is a super chill sandbox single-player game where you can do pretty much anything you want. Plus, I'm currently working on a multiplayer version of the game that sort of parodies a lot of stuff I just talked about in this video. I just released a teaser for it, so be sure to go check that out as well as the trailer. Alright, self-advertising done. Thank you for watching, and as I said before, please do not send any hate or anything of that type to anyone mentioned in this video. This is only meant to bring awareness to something that I feel is unknown to the wider Roblox community. If you enjoyed, please subscribe, leave a like, and share this around if you can. I will see you soon.